mistakes during Q4 can cost you more of your profits than making these mistakes at any other point in the year. During Q4, we have the potential of getting a sales velocity going on a listing where we can make very quick sales and lots of them much faster than for most of us any other time of the year. And as a result, I have learned the hard way that there are some mistakes that if we are making them within our listing can cost us a lot of our profits during November and the first 2 weeks of December. I'm Simply Shauna, and I'm going to tell you 5 of my biggest Q4 blunders so that hopefully you don't have to make the same mistakes. One of them I made just this week and stuck around to the end to the 5th one as it was probably the biggest blunder of all. Number 1, having a typo in your design. Last year, I made a couple of designs and I listed them each separately. Separately, they didn't really do much, but they kind of all had the same look, and I decided to put them together in a collection. Pro tip, take some of your designs that you've listed separately that seem like they could go together and put them as a collection together. Well, I did that, and one of the designs had a typo in it. The typo was present in the mock-up photo, but this listing took off, and it took off like wildfire. Again, the separate designs listed each separately didn't really do anything, but the collection of them did. This particular design with the typo on it did start selling within this collection. It was November, maybe the 3rd week of November. By the time the first customer that purchased that design got their t-shirt a week and a half later, I had already sold around 30 of that design. Now this listing altogether, it was probably more like 250 shirts had sold out of this listing. That specific design from the listing, around 30 of them. The customer gets their t-shirt and they message me back and they say, hey there's a typo in this. Can you get a corrected one to me? And my jaw hit the ground because I knew that I had already sold a bunch of those shirts, and those shirts were just waiting to arrive at all of those other customers' doorsteps. Last thing I wanted is for a bunch of these shirts to arrive at my customers and for them to run into Etsy and give me a bad review. So I spent the next 3.5 hours that night going through my orders looking for that design being sold. I was able to catch around 25 to 30 times that I sent the shirt out. I went ahead proactively and sent the shirt out again to those customers, corrected with a little message saying, hey there, I'm so sorry there was a typo, but we're getting the right one out to you. But we've already sent that incorrect one out to you, expected in the mail. Once again, so sorry, the right one's on the way. I actually wound up with a bunch of good reviews because people were really pleased that I had reached out to them first instead of trying to pull a fast one and never saying anything to them. I did miss 2 or 3 of them because I had a couple more customers reach out to me, and I probably missed a couple whom received their shirts and didn't realize until maybe after they were wearing it on Christmas that they had a typo on their shirt. Another bonus of being proactive about that is it would have cost me more to refund everybody. It was cheaper for me to spend the $12, $13, $14 and just send them another shirt rather than refunding them $22, $23, $24. Plus I'm out what I already spent on the shirt to begin with. So in the end, this cost me right around $350 to $400 to fix. Brain break, if you are wondering, well, geez, how did all these people purchase a design that had a typo in it right there in the mock-up photo? Can you identify the mistake in this little graphic here? If you can, go down in the description and let us know what the typo is. But most of us will probably read this and our brains will fix the typo for us and we won't even notice it. I'm going to lump one more mistake kind of with this one. It's a little bit different than a typo, but it was the same kind of concept. I synced something wrong. So not last Christmas, but the Christmas before, which was my first big Christmas. And really it wasn't big until the first 2 weeks of December. So as this video is coming out, we're mid-November. I'm actually in the throes of working on my Etsy stuff, and I stopped real fast and tried to go ahead and get this filmed for you. But it's coming. Keep going. If you've been listing consistently, keep doing that right up until Black Friday weekend, Cyber Day, Monday. So year before last, I had a huge first 2 weeks there in December. And this particular listing took off. It made me $6,000 profit that very first 2 weeks of December. It was incredibly exciting. And if you want to know more about that story, you can check this video out here. I'll link it at the end so you can watch that one next. This was really my first taste of something just selling like crazy and selling really fast. It was another one that was a collection of designs, and one particular design that sold, I synced it incorrectly with a wrong size. So once the customer got that and they reached out to me, like maybe it was December 10th or 11th, at this point, so many of them, to me at that time, it was a ton of shirts for a listing to have sold. And when they reached out and told me that they had the wrong thing, I nearly died because I realized, oh my gosh, how many people ordered that size with that design on it. Luckily, it was okay. They were, I think, the only ones, if I remember right. I'd gone through and made sure that everything was correct and I didn't have to reach out to anybody. So make sure that you don't have a typo if something starts to sell like crazy. Double, triple, quadruple check it. And make sure it's synced correctly with the right color or the right size, with the right phrase from your variations. Number 2, I did this week. So I have a banner that goes across the top of my phone whenever someone purchases something. And I see the banner pop up, you just made a sale, 80 cents. After taxes, after everything, their order came to 80 cents. And I thought, 80 cents? I don't have anything that should have sold for 80 cents. And so I open it up and I look and I see that I had one of my sizes $1. So after my sale was applied and their taxes were charged, they wound up paying 80 cents for their t-shirt. I had just put that listing together like in less than 24 hours from the time that it was purchased. I did mess with the prices on that one. I don't remember why I went in to mess with the prices. Maybe I was looking at the loss leader, which is when you purposely put one item that's cheaper than the rest. But in that case, maybe I would have wanted that to be like $13 or $15 or $16. I don't know, somewhere in there, depending on the item. I must have just mistyped and missed a digit, and it wound up being in my shop for $1. I immediately text my sister-in-law to go, oh my gosh, look what I just did. This customer got so lucky. They just got a Bella Canvas t-shirt for 80 cents. And my sister-in-law said, well, geez, if that had been me, I would have bought like 20 of them. So I felt lucky that that customer did not buy a bunch of them. They did get a great deal on their t-shirt. So be careful that you don't mess up your prices in that way. That could have been worse because if I did not have that banner or hadn't been sitting there looking when it came through, it might have been 2 days before I realized it, which I imagine, especially with it getting a sale so quickly, that the sales velocity on that listing would have continued to grow and I could have sold a couple more from that listing, probably that particular one that I was taking such a loss on. Number 3, are you using mockups that have pajama bottoms in them? They are great. They convert well. They're very cozy. They're beautiful mockups. You might have 2 shirts with pajama bottoms on the side, or a family of shirts with pajama bottoms shown, or even just one shirt with pajama bottoms near them. If you are, make sure that you put somewhere on that first mock-up photo that they are only the t-shirts and you're not actually going to be sending them the pajama bottoms. Put that in your description. Maybe put that as a separate card, a separate listing photo card, so it is abundantly clear to customers that they are not also getting the pajama bottoms. That same listing I mentioned earlier that really took off and sold bunches and bunches the first 2 weeks of December, I had put that on the market Black Friday weekend. So again, keep listing all the way up until then. I wound up at school one afternoon and I see a message come through and now this listing's popping off. I'm so excited. I can't believe it. Multiple times every day this listing is selling, and it did show pajama bottoms in the mock-up photo. A customer reaches out. She had bought a bunch of shirts. Her order was something like $300 and change. And she was irate. She was attacking my character. She was calling me like a swindler and that I had pulled a fast one on her, and she couldn't believe that I had charged her all this money and not sent her the pajama bottoms. I remember all the little hairs on my arm standing up, and I thought, oh my God, have I done something wrong? Did I mislead anybody? Oh my God, so many people have bought from this. People are just starting to get their orders. How many people are expecting the pajama bottoms with this? I didn't know this was a thing. And I did wind up with a couple people reaching out to me, not everybody. And I did the same thing for everybody. So this is a pro tip. If you already made this mistake or something like this happens to you, pro tip. I will often try to rectify the situation by telling the customer, hey there, I'm so sorry you're unhappy. You can either return the items to me and I will give you a full refund, or I'll give you a partial refund and you can keep the shirts. And I make sure the partial refund is a nice chunk, which is still better than me giving them the full refund. Usually what I do is I figure out what would be my profit on that order. So this was a group order and my profit was somewhere right around $100 or $120. It was something like that. And that's what I offered to give her back. And she did opt for that one. My fingers were crossed that that's what she would take, and she did. So that cost me less. I, again, apologized profusely and said, I hope that this will cover pajama bottoms for your family. Number 4, and this is something I am trying to fix currently, and I'll be working on it as soon as I stop recording this video. It's what I'll be working on all afternoon. I am making more sales than I did last year, lots more sales than I did last year, but my profits are not reflecting that right now. And that is because I have been using break-even pricing. Break-even pricing is when you release your items at a price where you're just pretty much breaking even. I can pay my POD company, I can pay my Etsy fee, so I'm covering my costs. But my items are maybe $7, maybe even $8 under where I would like them to be so that I'm making a profit on my items. The reason for doing this is so that you can get a listing to get a sale on it faster or a couple of sales on it faster, and that will help it have an overall chance of having a better sales velocity for you. I'm not A/B testing this for Christmas. If you do want to see an A/B test, you can check this video out here, and I will link it down below, where I released 2 listings that are exactly the same. The only change I made was the break-even pricing versus profit pricing, and the results were really interesting. For Christmas, I am not A/B testing this. I released all my Christmas things out at break-even pricing, and the intention is to go in and raise the price $1, maybe $2 each time a listing sells, or have like an idea like, okay, I'm going to let it sell 5 times or 10 times, then I'm going to start raising it. Either way is a good strategy. I have not been as consistent as I would like to be, simply because I'm trying to juggle YouTube. I'm trying to juggle some personal things that I want to make time for other people in my life other than Etsy and YouTube. And then I'm also trying to juggle getting my orders synced and trying to make sure that I'm getting new listings up. And with all of that, I have not been as consistent as I should be with raising my prices. This is something that I really need to fix this morning. I already did my numbers, and my numbers aren't what I expected them to be, my profit numbers. And that is because even though I made more sales than I did last week, this week I had new things start taking off at break-even pricing, and I was not consistently raising their price. So I sold a lot of shirts without making a profit on them. I want to make sure I get that rectified this week. I think that break-even pricing is a fantastic strategy. If you haven't played with that or experimented with that, I certainly suggest that you do. But this is part of it, right? So if you are not making if you're making more sales but not as many profits, you're probably not getting your break-even pricing raised to profit pricing like you should. We're about to get to number 5, and it is my biggest blunder out of all of these mistakes, but it could happen to anybody, so you're going to want to hear it. But before I do get to that one, I just want to take a quick minute. If you are enjoying this content and you're not yet subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. I'm also this year taking everyone along with me on my Etsy journey. This is my 3rd full year on Etsy, and I've been trying to double my profits from last year. I was able to pull off my first full year on Etsy a $33,000 profit, and most of that being the last couple months of that year, Q4 was what helped me do it. And then my second year, last year, full year on Etsy, I was able to pull off $107,000 profit. And my goal this year was to double it. I've been trying to do $200,000 profit. I usually do a monthly numbers report, but this is a super busy time of year. I have not had a chance to get my October report out. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and do October, November, and December all together. And everyone will know whether or not I was able to double the Etsy shop, which will give you a nice idea of what is possible with the amount of effort that I put in and the amount of growth that I achieved. So you can make goals based on that information. And if you're already a subscriber, now you'll know when those videos are coming out. And if you wouldn't mind taking a second to boop the like button, because that lets me know that you're enjoying this content and helps me make future decisions about what types of content to create for you. Number 5, an accidental sale. Okay, let me explain. It is now last year, second week of December, and that is absolutely the busiest week. It's been the week that made me the most profits. Last year, the second week of December, my profits were $9,000. Profit, just the profit, second week of December. So keep listening, guys. I hope everyone experiences a big boom the first 2 weeks of December. I listed so aggressively last year for Christmas, starting back in July and consistently all the way up to Black Friday, because I had quit my teaching job that year and I was nervous. So it was all kicking in now, and I didn't have any help, so it was all me. The orders were just flying in, they were coming in, and I was really struggling to make sure that I was getting the orders out every day, getting new things synced, getting everything pushed out so they would make it to the customers in time. So that day, I happened to be sitting at the table working. I had to take Tucker to a vet appointment that day. And I had about an hour where I was just trying to get as much done as I could before I went to the vet. And of course, I was going to be working on Etsy the rest of the afternoon when I got back. While I'm sitting there, I get a message from a customer that says, "Hey, this shirt doesn't fit the way I expected." Now I have a coupon code that I send customers and it's just saved. But last year I didn't have it saved. So I said to the customer, in scenarios like this is how I handle it. I said to the customer, "Oh, I'm so sorry, it doesn't fit as expected. We offer at cost pricing if you'd like to buy another item in another size." And I send them a coupon for about 50% off. So I put her coupon together real quick for her, as quickly as I could because I was so stressed about getting back to what I needed to get done, sent it her way. And then within 30 minutes of that moment, I said something that I thought I would never ever say in my whole life, ever since I started Etsy. The cha-chings just kept rolling in. They were coming in like crazy. And I put my head, as I'm sitting on the computer trying to take care of yesterday's orders, and I put my head between my hands and I said, "Oh my gosh, make it stop. Make it stop." Listen, I'm not complaining, I'm really not, but I couldn't believe how many orders were coming in. The time where I have to leave to go take Tucker to the vet rolls around. So Tucker and I go to the vet, and I'm just knowing that I will be pulling an all-nighter putting all of these orders together and wishing that I had figured out how to hire help prior to this moment, right? We're at the vet. I can't really work on Etsy at this point, but they do take Tucker out of the room to hold him down for something that they didn't want me to watch. He's very naughty at the vet and will not stay still for them. So I knew that they wanted to do this thing not in front of me. And while I'm sitting there waiting for them to come back, I am responding to messages that are coming in, at least taking care of customer service. And someone reaches out very mad at me and they say, "I can't believe that you're running this sale. I ordered my items 3 days ago, and if I ordered today, I would get an additional $45 off. I can't believe that you'd run the sale now, and I hope that you're going to honor this." And I'm sitting there scratching my head because I'm like, what is she talking about? I'm running the same sale today that I've been running all month. Why would she say I'm running a different sale and that it would save her $45? You've probably already predicted exactly what this blunder was. First of all, I usually only run sales in the US. It costs a little bit more to fulfill orders in Canada. I do ship to both and sell to both Canada and the US, and I usually only run the sale in the US so that my Canadian orders are covered because they're not getting the sale price, so that covers the extra expense of items when they are shipping to Canada. This customer was a Canadian customer, so actually didn't get any sale prices when she ordered her items originally. Remember that coupon I put together earlier for that one customer because they needed a new size? Well, I didn't put a coupon together. In my haste, I ran a 50% sale store-wide in my entire shop. Not only for US customers, but for Canadian customers also. 50% store-wide. Normally, my sales are anywhere between 15 to 25%. Last year, during this time, my prices were set up for me to be running a 20% sale, not 50. So here we are, Q4, the busiest time there is anyways. The second week of December, no less, the busiest week of the year. And I go and put a 50% off sale in my shop. When I was sitting at the vet, there was nothing I could do about that. The vet comes back in, now he's speaking to me, and I'm just thinking, oh my gosh. I realize what has happened. I know the exact moment I did it. The sales increased right away from that moment. I was already getting a lot of sales, but now I'm getting like a cha-ching. It seemed like every 2 or 3 minutes there was a cha-ching coming through. And now I'm just like, oh my gosh, how much money is this blunder going to cost me? I could not get out of that vet office fast enough and race home and get on the computer and see what had happened. I think I ran that sale, that accidental 50% sale, for probably less than 2 hours. It was maybe 30 minutes before I went to the vet. I was at the vet with Tucker, maybe an hour. By the time I got home, got it taken off, it was probably less than 2 hours. It was over 100 orders that came in that time. I remember one specific order was 17 shirts from a listing I'd never sold anything from before. I thought, oh my gosh, that listing probably lost me so much money. Interestingly enough, I went ahead and when I got home, I wrote down all of the orders that went through in that amount of time. I figured out the exact amount of loss or profit each of them had. If it was a one shirt order, it lost me anywhere between $6 to $9 depending on the particular item, like whether it was a tank top or a short sleeve shirt or a long sleeve shirt. If it was 2 shirts, I think it was still losing me a couple dollars. At 3 shirts, it was breaking even. And then if they had an order with more than 3 shirts in it, I might make $1 or $2 or $3. That 17 shirt order, if I remember correct, it made me something like maybe 20 bucks. When it all came together at the end, I just about broke even for those shirts. I think I made like $13 overall profit for those particular orders. Now you might argue, oh my gosh, no, you lost a lot of money because think of all of the orders you would have naturally made just during that period of time with your sales velocity, which is true. But maybe I made even more orders afterwards because I kind of accidentally got some extra listings with some sales through them, helping them gain some traction and maybe some sales velocity as a result. Mistakes you make during Q4 will definitely teach you faster lessons. They can impact you a lot more than a mistake you might make at a different time of year. Why don't you drop down into the comments below and let us know what your biggest mistake has been. I encourage everyone to keep listing, keep working, keep creating, keep designing. If you do feel like you did not get the traction this Q4 that you were hoping to get, let's see what happens those first 2 weeks of December. If you were early and you were getting your listings out on time, you just may be able to ride that wave those first 2 weeks and definitely keep listing. Usually the listings that have done me the best are ones that I put up later in November. They are the ones that maybe make the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time. If you're feeling like you want help for that next year and you kind of want to follow the same format or guide that I follow, I went ahead and put that down on paper as a resource. I'll leave it linked down in the description below where I give you listing dates starting in July and lots of examples, ideas, and guidance to help you have a fantastic Q4. You are going to want to make sure you get started on that right away when the time comes in July for next year so that this time next year you can really cash in. If you did well this Q4, then next year could be explosive for you. 2 pieces of homework for you. Don't forget to go down in the comments, say hello, or let us know what your biggest blunder is. And don't forget to watch this video next, but not until after that tip from Tucker. Tucker, take it away.